Hey guys, Gino here with Gino's Best Movie Reviews, and I'm here to talk to you about the new Apple TV Plus movie, Wolves. Full disclosure, I recorded a whole review and it didn't save properly, so I'm going to do my best to regurgitate the information that I shared on the last review. Hopefully, doing it live will remove any issue that I have with uploading it. So I'm going to start with the things I liked about the movie. One, it has good bones. It's got a good idea. It's got some good humor. It's not like laugh out loud, like gut busting, but there is some moments where I'm chuckling aloud, and I enjoyed those parts of the movie. Brad Pitt and George Clooney had excellent chemistry with each other. Of course, as that's what we would expect. In fact, the trailers did a very good job at basically just saying, "Come see this movie because of these two actors being in it." That's it. That was really what the marketing was trying to tell you. I should have known better because when a movie isn't hanging on its merit and is only hanging on its chemistry between its leads, that's probably not a good sign. Turned out to not be a good sign. Now, the first act of this movie, I found myself wondering, why is this not in theaters? I would have paid money to see this in the theater, or used one of my free AMC Plus A list, whatever you call it, tickets, the 3 tickets a week thing. Um, but then I realized why they didn't put it in the theater. I only saw the first trailer, so I didn't know exactly what to get into when it came to what the story was. All I knew is that they were both men of particular set of skills, hired to do a similar job for the client. And so my expectations were, maybe it was going to be a little actiony. It's going to be things that, I would enjoy to see. So I watched this movie with my mother and with my girlfriend. They weren't laughing when I was laughing. They were bored. They were audibly asking, when is this movie going to pick up? When is it going to get interesting? And you know what? As soon as they would ask that, something interesting would happen that you feel like would drive the plot forward. And by forward, I mean in a completely different direction than what it seemed like it was going beforehand. Without getting into spoilers, I don't know if they reveal this stuff in the trailer, but the movie starts out with a bang, literally, and they both show up. The two leads show up within like the first 10 minutes and they're interacting with each other. And that's great. I'm like, okay, good. We're not going to waste any time, even though it was super confusing. What's going on, who's hiring them, what they're there totally for to do, and who this person they're interacting with is. So that was, whatever. It's the beginning of the movie. I don't expect to know everything right off the bat. You can reveal it throughout the course of the movie. We'll see how you do. So with the good bones, with the good idea, with the great premise, with the good humor, they had terrible execution. I'm just going to say it. If George Clooney and Brad Pitt didn't have the chemistry that they had, the movie would be basically unwatchable. The humor came from their interactions. It wasn't well set up, uh, you know, physical gags or anything like that. Like those don't really work for me. It was really their interactions with each other and how they felt about each other. That was the funny part and the fun part and the entertaining part of the movie. At one point, we paused the movie because my mother wanted to go to bed, and it was 20 minutes left. It felt like there was like another, we were only halfway through the movie. That's not good. It shouldn't feel like your movie is halfway done and it's about to end. So whether or not it was because we paused it, again, they didn't put it in theaters. I would have saw it in theaters. I maybe would have felt different, whatever. But when you put something only on a TV streaming service, you deal with people who need to pause to go to the bathroom, whatever. They can see how long the movie has left, other than checking the watches. So the first real actiony thing that happened was about at that 20 minutes left mark. And this is 20 minutes including credits. The movie directed by John Watts. You could tell the cinematography was really well done. You could tell an artist who thinks highly of themselves made this movie because it was very artsy. It was very maybe playing more to your elderly type of old school critic, which is why over 60% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics is fresh and it's about 50% for the audience. I can believe that. I can believe that, half the people that see this liked it and half the people didn't like it. I believe that. That's not something that's too much for me to wrap my head around. I really, really, really wish that they got to their points faster. Like I said, there were moments where my girlfriend and my mother were asking, when is the movie going to pick up? It's boring. And then something would happen that wouldn't just move the movie forward, but it would zigzag it into a different direction. But I was here for it. I was here for the entire thing. I was wanting to see how they were going to explain reveals, all these things. It's very dark. It's a very dark movie. It's not like evil dark, just more like visually dark. Um, the movie kind of ended like The Sopranos ended. A little unresolved, a little too much questions to go into a movie that I've had questions since the beginning. Now, I'm not an expert. Some things go over my head when I watch a movie. I'll admit that. So that could be where the discrepancy is in how I feel versus how the critics might have felt. I didn't read the critic review, so I don't know specifically what allowed them to like the movie and what it allowed them to didn't like the movie. But I can't recommend you guys see this movie. I can't. If you're interested in it, great. You might like it. It's worth a shot. I'm going to have to watch the trailers to see what they were promoting because in the marketing, they were only selling us on the chemistry between the two leads. And I should have known better. And again, guys, I apologize if I'm repeating some points. I'm not sure what happened when I pre-recorded this versus what I said live. So hopefully I'm not repeating myself too much. You could feel it just kind of happened to us as far as the movie. It's on par with Argyle. It's on par with Madam Web. It's on par with. It's a little bit below One Love, the Bob Marley movie, but as far as just happening, movies that are just this happens, then this happens, then this happens, instead of a well-written story where it's this happens, therefore this happens, and because of that happening, this happens, therefore this happens. That's how you can tell good writing from bad writing. The dialogue was well written. Again, the actors delivered, the acting was great. I didn't for once think that anybody was phoning it in. I hesitate to call it cinematography just because it wasn't in the cinema. It's on TV. That's their decision. I'm sure they chose getting more money for the project versus having to put it in theaters. It's frustrating. I really would, I'd be on board to see a sequel to this movie depending on the ambiguity of the ending. I'd be on board with seeing them correct the things that they did wrong and keep going more with the things that I liked. The points I was laughing at, the two people I was watching it with weren't laughing. I didn't know. We didn't get a peep other than it was boring. And they were the ones that really wanted to watch the movie. So it's a bad thing when the people who really want to watch this movie feel bored by your product. Either way, guys, at the end of the day, I'd say this is about a 2 or 3 out of a 10, even though giving number ratings to a movie is difficult and ambiguous in and of itself because a 7 for somebody else might be a 7, might be a 10 for somebody, might be a 5 for somebody. It's all means something different to them. So I acknowledge that and I understand that. As far as a thumbs up, thumbs down, it's thumbs down for me. I'm definitely not going to watch it again. It wasn't too long. It didn't overstay its welcome, but it honestly should have been longer if that's the way they were going to play out their story. This is the movie that we had. Apple TV Plus has plenty of other great things for you to watch on there. So if you go to load that up, maybe go watch Ted Lasso, Shrinking, Platonic, TV show, or check out something else other enjoyable. But it's funny because Apple TV Plus bought Argyle released in theaters was bad. Maybe they realized that they shouldn't release this in theaters because of how Argyle performed. But at the end of the day, if Apple's winning the bid for something, it's probably just because they bid the most money. Whether or not they like it, I don't know. They're putting billions of dollars into their movie division. We'll see how it goes. Whatever you guys think, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, it doesn't matter. It's all subjective. It is art, and fundamentally, we can have different thoughts about it. Most importantly, though, is that you share those thoughts in the comments below, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care. And thank you to everybody who is watching this on demand or live. I really appreciate your viewership and support. It means the world to me. Take care.